And back behind those horses, I Am Unstoppable. Osmosis at the clock tower, led by a length to Shinzo, Arkansas Kid, and I Am Unstoppable is running on. The leader, Osmosis, with 50 metres to go. Osmosis is clear and will take it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mock Sports presents the Quaddie Poddy. Cashy, joined by Nick, and mate, didn't we have a week last week?
Yeah, we did all right. Definitely can't complain. Good to start off the pod pretty nicely. I'm very happy. V Sustina. That's probably the big one to take out. I tie up with 12 others at the top of the leaderboard for our tip off. Yeah, very happy. It went out to $13. I was happy to take it at the $7-8 mark, thinking I'd get 7 or 8 points, and I've taken 13 or 14 points in the end. So yeah, can't complain up the top.
Yeah, instead of a 6-point lead over me, you've now got like a 13-point lead over me. But I mean, let's get stuck straight into it. There's a lot to talk about from last week because we had such a successful week. 7 winners on the day, 5 at Randwick, half the card. Then of course we had 2 over at the Valley, and we managed to hit that juicy $2,600 quaddie. So the key takeaways, Elias, what do you think of that run?
Yeah, was always going to win. I think we both knew that. You made it your best bet, which ended up being your best bet because it did get out above the $2 mark.
Posted it all in on Manal. Unfortunately, Manal, don't drop off her punters. I think, maybe just the first up plus the weight. Give her one more run before we actually make the call, and if she hasn't progressed into the next stage. So Elias did, of course, end up jumping above $2 because weird drift. Really weird drift. $1.70 out to like $2.60 before the jump, back into $2 once the late scratching of the horse that all the money was coming for. So maybe that helped it in the end. But yeah, just dug in and got the job done. So
was always going to win.
Into $5 now.
Easily going to win a big race.
Yeah, into $5 now for the Metropolitan from the tip from Punt to the Future. So super happy with that. Yeah, that was getting me really worried. But yeah, just jump, held on. Then started to hit the front, and then the other started to come for it. I think it lost a head, if not, was just neck and neck the whole time. But then second wing kicked away, got the job done. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that it's going to win something or be thereabouts. I'm very happy with the $8 we locked in last week.
Yeah, fair enough. And we'll move through to Jolly Star.
Yeah,
wow,
that's the next one.
Very impressive. I think we've been screaming for our next sprinter, and she looks like she could be the one. She won easily. She's improved heaps. I tipped her. I was happy. I said she was going to have a good spring. She was in my top 4 for when one of our listeners asked who we thought was going to have a good one. Yeah, wow. She's improved tenfold.
Yeah, there's not much else to say. Like I said on the pod last week, like she could come out and blitz them. I don't want to have the money on just in case. I would rather sit and watch, go for the bigger value of the Democracy Manifest. He's still a great run. He'll win a race this spring, 100%. Got far too far back, stuck in traffic and blitzed it to finish 4th. But yeah, she was just jogging in the end, mate. And the sectionals actually show that she wasn't actually jogging as well. It looked like that's how easy she made it look like. She was going under 11 seconds for both of her late sectionals, I'm pretty sure. And if those of you who don't know, 12 seconds is usually the standard for every 200 metres, and she was running them well under 11 towards the end there, and she looked like she was being let down and jogging. J-Mac had to look around, where's the rest of them, and just eased her down, but she was still going a million miles an hour. Super impressive. I'm sold on her. I think she can hang with the sprinters, but can she win the Everest? That's the different question there.
You got to wait for the field, I think. It's too early to look into that just now. Everyone's going to have a big... It's the next probably 4 or 5 weeks are pretty big in terms of the Everest, where a lot of horses are going to come out and be just like Jolly Star and come out. So there's no... I think she's starting favourite on the futures markets at the moment.
I think she's still second favourite behind I Wish I Win.
Yeah.
But she came in from about 20s into like 7s on the day. Still needs to get a slot, but you can think after that it's a formality.
Yeah,
do you think Waller takes her and makes it his slot, or does he wait for someone else to take her and then he can have 2 in the race?
He's got a while until he has to work that out. I don't think that's the head of their worries. They'll be talking about it for sure, but I think they've got lots going on at their stable at the moment, which they're very happy about. Via Sustina, which we were just talking about. We'll unpack that race. The Wink Stakes looks really good race, I thought.
Hell of a race.
Fangirl wasn't too far off. Zoo Gotcha, what a great run, almost got it done, but a swoop like that, even from Fangirl as well, but from Via Sistina, that was crazy. I was actually at the footy ground, and I was watching with one of our mates, 40, with his newborn strapped to him, and he's got the sports bet on, and he's whispering to me. He goes, "Just don't wake up the kid." And I was like, "All right." And then he's going, Fangirl on the outside, Fangirl. I'm like, "Nah, Via on the inside, and then Via Sistina stole in the end, and yeah, what a great run. I think a lot of horses coming out of that prep are going to win a big race. I think Riff Rocket was a bit unlucky. I didn't think you can write Riff Rocket off at all. Great run. Zugotcha will win a big one, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then I don't think Fangirl's out of it unless she comes against Via Sistina the whole time, and I think she'll be behind Via Sistina, because Via Sistina was amazing.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot to unpack from this race, and just what a race. All that weekend, we were happy because we were winning. Even if we weren't winning, I was super happy as a racing fan. Spring's back, so many blanket finishes, so many good races. This one topped it off. Riff Rocket, we said we were definitely afraid of him. You had to include him in your exotics just in case he had the intent to win. But when Waller had half the field, you never know which ones are going to have intent, which ones weren't. You could tell pretty early on. Paid trial, went around and rattled home some really, really fast sectionals there. He's definitely not one to drop off just because he wasn't in the finish. He was there just purely to have a jog towards the end.
Yeah.
I think Nash said afterwards he did want more intent, but just didn't get a chance to slot in early in the race, and just decided, you know what, let's find a place, try and rattle home as fast as he could, and get some prize money for the owners. But yeah, don't drop off him. A Tissue and Buckaroo. Again,
a Tissue is a bit of a worry, I think.
You said that it was going to be the flop of the spring. Closed off nice enough that you wouldn't think maybe completely drop off them. Buckaroo's still a mystery. Came over with all this hype and hasn't really fired a shot yet. But like you said, Zugotcha, incredible. So much money came through. She almost ended up starting
She keeps
favourite.
getting better. She keeps getting better, honestly. So
she was 9s into 6s into 4s into 3s in some places. And, Fangirl started, 2s, 240, 260, 280. And we're like, what's going on here? Is Zugotcha grown an extra leg? Turns out she has. Absolutely incredible. Almost stole it if it wasn't for Via Sistina down the inside.
Yeah, great run that was. But yeah, you did talk to some people at Wallace Camp. I don't know. I can't remember if it was earlier this year.
Golden Slipper Day when
Golden
she debuted.
Slipper Day, and they said that she's got the professionalism just like Winx had. That's what you.
Yeah, well, they said, everyone always says, where's the next Winx? Where's the next Winx? Fangirl this time last year was meant to be the next Winx after that Winx Stakes victory.
No, it wasn't.
So many
According
horses.
to you, it was.
No, I said it was a Winx-like run. I didn't think she was going to be the next Winx. I think there's a lot of Winx-like runs out there, but there's a big difference to actually be a champion like your Winxes, like your Very Elegants, like your Animos, where they very rarely lose. But I think, honestly, Via Sistina, the reason I wasn't on her was I thought Fangirl would just have her measure at 1,400. I thought they were going to come home together, which they did.
That was my worry. I didn't think Via Sistina would be able to. I personally was Zugotcha up until probably. I think I said to you before the podcast I was going Zugotcha, and then I swapped last minute to Via Sistina just because I was like, you know what, I was a bit iffy about the 1,400 because obviously. I was thinking it was a bit more of a fitness run getting up into it. And I was like, look, I'll go with it just in case, because if it gets up, I'll be kicking myself. And geez, I was lucky in the end. But
yeah, she's, I don't know why she drifted so hard. Was it the distance? But like I said last week, don't discount her on the distance. So many horses are able to do 1,400 up to 2,000. Winx did it. Very Elegant did it. Riff Rocket's even been able to do it. Obviously it's not common, but it's not uncommon as well. Pride of Jenny, another one that we'll talk about later. Horses can do it. So it just was bizarre to me that a horse who was clearly second best rated, if not top rated when it comes to ability, goes from $6 out to $11, jumped 13 at some bookies as well. It was mind-boggling to me. And, quite honestly, when she got up, it just showed her class in the end. Don't discount Fangirl, guys. Trust me, this hair's going nowhere. She'll win a big race. She came home literally identical. They were a 0.001 of a second off each other. Via Sistina just took the quickest way home by going down the inside. Fangirl went the outside. But honestly, mate, I'm gonna ask you this because I know my answer. Say some bookie out there put out, a market via Sistina to go undefeated for the rest of the season. So I'm talking all spring, all autumn. Would you be having a bet on it?
What's the price?
Oh, can't imagine the price. What would it be? Like, let's say, give me.
Really, it's got to be a realistic price.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm not a bookmaker, I guess.
That's a big shout. Like, I think it would have to have a decent price, like a big price for me to bet on it.
That's fair enough. But I personally, I don't see her losing until Cox Plate if she even loses that.
She's always going to verse big, good fields where anyone. I still think a lot of horses can win on their day, no matter we don't have a horse like V16 is not a Winx that will get it done no matter what. Like a horse can have its day, like Pride of Jenny's had its day. Yeah. I just don't think that is a market that I would bet on unless it was really, really good. To be honest,
that's fair enough.
That's the way I kind of look at it. I've got a question for you.
Yep.
Is Fangirl still the best horse in the country?
Yeah, look, I said I was paying $1.05 to not be surprised if I think V16 is the best in the country come the end of spring. Off that run, obviously you got to reassess it. The rest of the spring still has to happen, but it's at the end of the day, I think that's going to be their only 1v1 outing. I'd be severely surprised if they don't split and she goes down to Melbourne now to prepare for the Cox. Fangirl stays put to prepare for the 7 Stakes and the King Charles on Everest Day. You'd think that that'd be the logical progression, especially if Waller wants both horses to be as successful as possible. But I'm not Chris Waller. The man's a genius. Let him do what he wants. If they go against each other again, we have to see what plays out. But if she goes off on this massive tear down in Melbourne, and then even if Fangirl has a good run in Sydney, you'd have to go back to that, head-to-head clash, and V16 would probably have to come out on top. Still a lot of racing to happen, but she's special, man. I think she will be the next big star. She's going to be the next Very Elegant, Animo, Nature Strip. Those big stars that we've been desperate for in the last few years that people are going to go to the track specifically to watch that horse because she's a freak, And again, I go back to it. Everyone's like, oh, she failed in the Queen Elizabeth. No, she didn't. She was so far in front, she probably thought she won the race. It's just that Pride of Jenny had already won it 30 seconds earlier because of the anomaly that occurred there. Chuck that race form out completely apart from Pride of Jenny. V16 is special, and I think we're going to see some very incredible things happen in the next 12 months with that horse.
100%. We'll move on. We'll head into the hotline.
Yes, the hotline. It was a good debut last week. We've got 4 now. We've got the good old...
Bit dribbly.
Yeah, very dribbly. Very dribbly.
We got a message back from that 14-year-old. He was 14. Can confirm. Anyway, we'll move straight in.
This one comes from Stock's Bloodstock.
Oh.
G'day, boys. Just wondering who do you think's going to win the big race this weekend? Stormboy, Switzerland. You got the big 2, and then we're heading into the Golden Slipper. Who do you think comes out on top as a 3-year-old?
Okay, well, that one's a hard one to answer because Switzerland did indeed scratch and didn't accept for the race. Stormboy's still going there, but we'll use the back end of that question. Who's going to be better in the spring as a 3-year-old, Switzerland or Stormboy? What are your thoughts?
That's actually a really good question. Shout out to Stock's Bloodstock. I love his TikToks.
So do I. Keep going, mate. Don't listen to the haters.
Yeah.
You don't need to be 18 to love horse racing.
Got a lot of underage fans by the looks of it. But anyway, I don't know why that is. Stormboy versus Switzerland. Good matchup. I don't know. I just have this weird feeling Stormboy's going to be just better as a 3-year-old. I don't know. I just coming to the back end of the prep as a 2-year-old, I just think he's such a big horse where he's just going to do well. I don't know. I just have this feeling. So I'm going to go Stormboy.
I'm going to go Switzerland. Everyone knows after last week, Stormboy's on fraud watch for me.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be the flop of the spring.
It's not. I think it's a good matchup to talk about, but it's not my leading one going into a. You know what I mean? I'm not seeking Stormboy out every time he's running.
Yeah,
but in that matchup as a 2-year-old to 3-year-old, to see how they would go, I think Stormboy. I'm hoping Stormboy has a good couple times, but at the same time, the price is never going to be good enough for me to go bang.
You'd want some return on investment as well for Coolmore, who spent so much money on what could end up being a bit of a dud because he didn't win any of those Group 1s that they were banking on him winning.
Yeah.
And I said in autumn, Switzerland's one to follow forward as a 3-year-old. Again, I'm interested to see how he's progressed. Could have completely gone backwards, could have grown an extra leg. That's just what you've got to wait and see with these 3-year-olds. We move to Lockie from the Remember When podcast. Shout out to you, mate. If you want to have a good listen, he interviewed a
Olympian
beach volleyballer. So that was a good episode. So the Remember When pod. Let's see what Lockie has to say.
Lads, quick question. Is it play on or not play on to only bet on the horse with the best name? I don't care if it's paying $3,000 to 1. If it has the best name, it's worth a $5. True or true?
True or true, Nick?
Look, Lockie, I don't mind that. It's if you don't know what you're betting on, and you've got nothing to go off, and you're at the races and you don't know, by all means, name bets. I've always been a big name bet guy. If I'm ever betting on the dogs, which I do not know anything about, it's always name bets.
Yeah.
So
I got a name bet last week and it got up.
Yeah, I did. That was an omen bet though, not a name bet. But yeah, Lockie, great question. I think at times it's got to make sense. If you read it in your head and the little voice just says something to you, that's the way I go about it, and then it does well.
I've seen it be successful too many times to not say play on. Miss Mock, my girlfriend, shout out to her. She is a big name bet girl, and she's been very successful with it in the past. Dad's a big name bet guy, especially. I think most parents are when they see a horse name related to their children or their wife or a mate. They'll get on it. They'll whack a $5 on no matter what. And, Dad's had some big collects in the past, just simply betting on any horse that has Will in the name or Mitch in the name or Deb in the name. So definitely got to play on within reason. Don't be dropping hundreds on, but no matter the odds, everything's worth a couple dollars here and there if you've got it to spare. We'll move on to Charlie Manning, Mr. Shower Bets.
Shower bets.
Right, boys, currently having a shower. I've got 2 tips for you. Last week didn't go too good. Rip Rocket, wrong part of the track, rode poorly by Nash, but was never in it. We forgive that. Next week, on to this week. Okay, we got Coco Sun in the 10th at Caulfield. It's not going to lose. First up, I know it's looking for more, but 1,400, still think it can do well. It's first up 1,400 last time at Sandown, did extremely well on a, could say, similar track. Then we have in the 6th race, Stay Focused. I just think it gets the job done here. The favourite is a good horse, but I just like the form from Stay Focused, and I was stuck with their last prep, and I'm going to be with their this prep. So get on, boys. They will not lose. Get back to me when you hear it. Shower bet done.
Love that.
Great question.
Tell you what, though.
No question.
Coco's son, $20 to win, $5 to place, mind you. So if he's that confident on it, you'd be getting quite a collect if you get up. But little spoiler for our best bets later. Both of those tips come in in races that we're pretty confident on other horses, mate. So
thank you for that, though.
Thank you. Always call in with your shower bets, but we just can't say we'll be on them personally, and you'll find out why later. We've also got Will. Shout out to you, Will. Let's see what you've got to say for the final hotline call.
Hey boys, Will here. Favourite jockey and favourite trainer of all time? 5 years.
Cheers, mate. Okay, so favourite jockey, favourite trainer of all time. Nick, go.
Favourite jockey and favourite trainer. I really like Annabelle Neasham as a trainer. I think Waller's an easy one to cop out, but I think Annabelle Neasham's one that I really, really respect and really like the way she goes about it. Jockey, Tommy Berry would be up there. I love the way he goes about it. Apart from your obvious ones with J-Mac and Jamie Carr probably, but yeah, I've always been a big fan of Tommy Berry. Or even if you go down to Melbourne, I'm a big fan of Mark Zara. I like the way Mark Zara goes about it.
Yeah, fair enough. I hate to sound like a parrot, but T Berry, we're a big T Berry group. We've always had a lot of respect for T Berry.
He's pretty local as well. So
yeah, and then Neesham, I've always had a lot of respect for Neesham. I always pay attention, especially when she brings over a import, knows how to pick them. Most of them run fairly decently. She's got a good track record as well, with the likes of Zaki. That was a great pickup. And I mean, apart from your Wallers and your Waterhouses, there's not much else to say. Your Kieran Mars, no longer really a niche thing to say. I will say, though, I do pay attention to a good Butterson and Young horse down in Melbourne. I wouldn't say favourite trainer, but definitely one that I like to pay attention to, especially when they send one up to Sydney. But yeah, apart from, your standards, again, I don't want to sound like a parrot, but Neesham and Berry is probably my pick as well.
Fair enough.
All right.
Well,
Heads and listen to questions.
Nathan Doyle as well.
Oh, yes, fair enough. And Richard Litt, of course, the trainer of our horses.
Yep.
Got to shout him out.
Move to normal listener questions because these guys don't want to get their voice out there, I think.
That's fair enough. The old school.
Jordan McClumpfer, do you think distance is a worry for Pride of Jenny? Distance is never a worry for Pride of Jenny.
Yeah, we found that out last prep.
Mr. Brightside is the worry for Pride of Jenny. I think Mr. Brightside always starts off well at the start of his preps, always does well, as we'll talk about a bit later. I think it'll be those two at the top pretty convincingly, unless something's happened in their break that we haven't known about. But I do think, I'll just spoil it now. Brightside, I think, wins, and I think only because it's early in the prep. If it was later in the prep, I would have taken Pride of Jenny, like we talked about last week.
We got a lot of flack for that as well on TikTok. The people,
That's all right. I don't really care.
like it's people are like, oh, he had great runs. No, he didn't. He didn't win anything the last 3 runs of his prep.
I don't care. That's what I say. Like I hate people that say, "Oh, it did well," but like you still got to win. Like that's all horse racing is. You can't just have fair runs your whole career and nothing happens.
He finished like 3 lengths off them the last few starts of the last prep.
Yeah.
So-
Well, the way I mean by is you look at him at the start of his prep last year.
He looks unbeatable.
He's the next thing. He's not losing. Falls off in the second half of the prep and it's still like he's still racing all right, but the way he was in the first half is nowhere near the second half. Anyway, we'll move on. Henry Bear, great question. Stuck in a weird one here, fellas. Say I win big on a race, how much does the missus get?
Great question. Great question.
I don't gamble according to my missus, so does that answer your question? I don't know. Look. You can answer that. I'm not getting in trouble.
Well, I mean, considering my girlfriend loves to gamble, I'm in a good spot. But I always got great advice from my dear Auntie Di. She always gave us the advice, you've always got to have a secret kitty away from the significant other, because especially if they're not into gambling and they don't like the amount that you gamble. As long as you're always doing it within reason, always, subtract a couple of zeros of what you've won. Dad's go-to one is always just telling mum, I've won $5. That could mean he's won $50. That could mean he's won $500. It could mean he's won $5,000. So Auntie Di always told us, don't get into specifics. Tell him you had a good day. And if you did have a good day, it's always the gentlemanly thing to do to treat her to a nice meal. That's always what Auntie Di said.
Fair enough. I'm kind of stuck in a weird spot right now where my girlfriend doesn't really understand gambling just yet, and without being too confident and touchwood, I've had a good couple of weeks, the last couple of weeks, where she's only seen me win. So she's been saying to me, "Can I just use her money to win her money?" And I've been telling her it doesn't work like that. That you just turn money into money. Otherwise, everyone would do it. Like you got to win. I said if I lost that money, you'd make me pay you back anyway. So I'm not doing it. So I'm stuck in a weird spot where she just doesn't understand. So, but Henry, yeah, I'm not answering that because I don't want to get in trouble. But Cashy did well.
Great question. I would just say you don't need to give her any of it. Just take her out to a nice dinner, Henry, or get her a nice gift, depending on how much you won.
Yeah, if it's under 500, you didn't win. That's what I say. Last question. I don't even know if I want to ask this question. Matt Rivetto asks, can you ask Nick how he's so bad at golf even when he cheats?
Cheating. It's a wild accusation.
Yeah, this guy, I don't want to talk about golf on our podcast, but I will. This guy's the biggest cheat I've ever seen on the golf course. He makes sure to let everyone know that everyone else is cheating, but I've got I've got signed documents from 4 sources that this guy cheats at golf. Yesterday or the day before, I played with him, and he's teeing off in front of the tee box. These balls always appearing in the middle of the fairway when it's clearly gone left. So, look, this guy's trying to be a hero and put this out there, but yeah, stay in your lane, mate. That's what I have to say.
Alrighty, that concludes the hotline and the listener questions. Let's get straight into the tips, mate. We've got the punt of the future, like we said. Elias, good result, $8 into $5. Let's see if we can find some equal market movers. My week 2 punt of the future tip, I'm taking $10, putting it on Gatsby's for the Golden Rose at $7.50. Another horse with the same sort of strategy. It's racing on Saturday. Hopefully it wins and that price shortens dramatically. I just don't see it jumping $7.50 on the day. I know it has to deal with broadsiding, but I think it can definitely jump around the $5, $4 mark. And then if it, comes out and wins really impressively, might even come into favourite.
Fair enough. My punt to the future is Zoo Gotcha for the Empire Rose. I think it's at $6.
$6 on Dabble, yes.
Dabble at the moment, which is all right. $10 on that. Yeah, she looks really good right now, and I think that'll be a race where she doesn't really compete against the strongest field. I think a lot of people will miss that kind of field, so I think she'll do well, and that'll be my punt to the future tip.
Yeah, if you want to copy any of them punters, remember throughout the spring, you can follow us on Dabble. Click the link in the show notes if you want to join up, or just use the code MOCKSPORTS when signing up to let them know we sent you. Make sure if you're doing so, please set a deposit limit and gamble responsibly.
100%.
All right, mate.
Just before we get into it, I just want to say as well, we've got a stream on Dabble next week.
Very true. For the footy finals.
Our footy finals. So if you like listening to us and you don't mind the AFL, at halftime on Thursday night of the Brisbane No. I don't know who's playing yet. I forget. But on Thursday night at halftime, we're doing a stream on Dabble. We're going to have a copy bet to do as well, where you get your cash back for $25, which will be pretty cool. That we'll put a video out and we'll talk about that. But if you want to look at that and you're from Dabble, by all means, come and have a look at us. So, cool.
Alrighty, so the track report, it's good for right now, and it will stay that way. If not, get even drier. It'll definitely need a bit of a watering before the race start, and might even get out to good 3 by the end of the day. It's a very, very hot in Sydney at the moment. Rails out 2 metres, so the track should play pretty fairly. All right, race 1, 1800 metre midway, mate. It's not something that you love to see. It's quite a boring way to start off the day. I'm personally not going to touch it with a stick betting wise, but if you're desperate for an early punt, I'll put Arts on top at $5.50 to win, $2.10 to place. Reason being, it's a Group 3 winner, and it's dropped off a cliff so much it's ended up in a midway. So you'd hope that she's firing a shot and puts some sort of effort in here, and you can get each way odds. So Arts for me in the first.
Yeah, a bit unsure. I would go in the past probably Dr. Evil, but probably hasn't had a very, very strong prep. It's come in the minor placings a little bit, but yeah, it's just getting a bit old. I think that horse where it's probably not doing what it needs to do. But yeah, I wouldn't touch it, punters. Yeah, I had a good weekend last week. We had a good weekend last weekend, but we like to stake our betting where the races we're more confident in, we bet a bit more on. So for argument's sake, I'll go with forecast here, Rachel King, $6.50. But yeah, I wouldn't be touching this one, punters. We move over to the 1500 Maryland's RSL Club, benchmark 78. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep this one pretty simple. There's a horse here that I really like. It's Sequestered. Godolphin horse, James Cummings trained, Nash on board, $3.70. Really good horse, doing pretty well. Came 3rd in the last 2 runs. Gets a dry track, which will be nice. And yeah, should be good.
Yeah, I'm with you. It just keeps getting stuck in traffic, plain and simple. Yeah. And if it gets clear air, it should be able to use the extra jump in distance, the extra fitness to just hopefully get over the top of them. $3.70. I'm more than happy to be on Sequestered with you, mate. As we move to race 3, tricky highway as always here. So I always really like to try and look at some value again. Midways and highways, we don't usually love to launch in betting. So small staking here, guys, on Up the Country. Has finished less than a length behind the winner every start this prep as he thunders home for second. Those are all much less distance. Gets, up 150 metres now from his last start was 1250. This is 1400. Berry on board, can get the most out of him. Hopefully closes over the top of them at $14 to win, $4.20. Up the Country in the highway for Cashy.
I'm going Red Rags to Bulls, $16 and $4.60 in the highway. Look, another one I will not be touching, but I'll go with some value for it, punters. We move to race number 4 at the 2,000 metres, benchmark 78. All right. Looking nice here. I think the first three horses price wise, and Notice, First Light, and Rise to It are going to be the main dangers in this race. I think Rise to It will be my tip. Second last start looks pretty nice at the same distance, falling behind. Star Vega. So $7, $2.45 for me.
Yeah, look, got to go with Rise to It. Double nommed for Melbourne, so you're not quite sure where it's going to go. But of course, scratching does mean money back. In the end, been running pretty good, just missing the mark. Last start behind a winner last start looked the winner. A couple hundred meters out, just got ran down in the end. And the start before that also ran behind Don Diego Vega, who is being touted as a potential group horse this prep. So I like that form as well. $7 to win, $2.45 each way. If it runs, hopefully it goes good. If it scratches, we just get money back.
Fair enough.
We move to race 5, the 1500 meter benchmark 78. You'd think Too Much Caviar goes right to the front here and plays Catch Me If You Can. We're usually always on it, so I'm going to kick myself if I don't get on it here and it wins. But unfortunately, I'm looking elsewhere. Hopefully, you're covering it. You might not be, but it beat us all the horse. As soon as we jump off, it gets its win. I'll be on Unusual Legacy. He's a horse that looks to be in a really good prep. Won really strongly at Scone Cup Carnival during the winter. Was meant to be in the last week's race where Madatsu got up for us at $12.50. That was a nice collect, so I'm glad it did scratch. But it was really fancied in the market there, so it boggles my mind here that it's now at $10 to win, $3.10 to place each way. So, drops down to 57 kilos with the apprentice claim there. So instead of carrying the listed 60, it'll be 57. So that'll help. Should park right behind the speed. Have a lot to say late. Like I said, considering it was well rated last week, I can't see why it's at $10 this week. So I'm happy to go each way on it.
Fair enough. I'm going High Blue Sea here. Tyler Schiller on board. $10, $3.10 for a place. A horse that's this prep is just getting better, I think. And then this one, I'm hoping goes all the way here. Looking pretty nice. $10 is a pretty good price point as well for me to go off. As we move to race number 6, probably our first conversation race to talk about here. Gatsby versus Stormboy. You might throw Mayfair in there if you really think it can be. Do you reckon it's those three horses in itself, mate?
Yeah, you have to think so. On paper, it's definitely a 2-horse race, maybe a 3-horse race when you whack that horse in. It's the San Domenico Stakes, Group 2. It's, one of the first races to really lead into, Group 3, to lead into the Golden Rose later on. Like I said, Gatsby's is on that path. I'm hoping that I've locked in $7.50 now. It can win this race and really come in price. The last few winners, you've got your Libertads, you're in the Congos, horses that have gone on to run somewhat strongly, if not win the Golden Rose in the end. So it's always really a good form race. But yeah, I just can't be on Stormboy. Like I've talked that much shit about him. I'd look pretty silly if I all of a sudden get on him. And I think the world of Gatsby's, that's no secret. So if it's $2, I'll be on it. If it's less than $2, I'll just sit and watch and just hope that price for the Golden Rose comes in.
I'm going Stormboy. I think Adam Hieronymus going back on is a major plus. I think that was probably one of the big mistakes going into the Autumn Carnival was taking Adam Hieronymus off Stormboy. I think all the wins looked very nice. He was locked in, and then they decided to bring J-Mac, and then Ryan Moore came along for the slipper. So Adam Hieronymus comes back on, which I think is awesome. I think he wins this one. Stormboy, $2.35. Hopefully it stays at that price. So you take us to race number 7, mate.
Yeah, we've got the 1,300 metre up and coming stakes here. This one's the Group 3 of the day, I believe. This one's also a Group 3. I keep tripping over my word there. Sorry, punters. But this is an interesting one. That was a 2-horse race we're coming through. Is this a 1-horse race? You have to ask yourself, Autumn Glow, is it open and shut with that horse, Nick?
I don't think it's open and shut. I think it's definitely strong chance and looks the best and definitely have to be in the quaddie. It's not open and closed. I think it's up for debate. Good horse, but it's only been proven once. I'd love to see it do it again. It could be another one to follow coming up into some big races, but personally, I can't say it's open and closed.
Yeah, look, it's super impressive, super well bred. $1.8 million at the sales doesn't lie. She looks like she could potentially be another 3-year-old star that's come out of nowhere and debuted only recently. Like I said last week on the pod, you got to watch for these horses that are debuting out of nowhere. Don't just follow the ones that have come on from the autumn because, it's a whole new game as a 3-year-old. But the price is something. I don't know if I want to dive into it. Even at $2, like, still, it could come out and smash them, but, where else do you look? Maybe one of the Waterhouse runners? Honestly, I don't know. I'll be leaving it up to you and the punters to be having a bet. I won't have a bet. I'd rather sit and watch, but I have to have Autumn Glow on top. Like, she'll be my tip, but I just can't be betting on this race.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's it'll be a multi-filler for me personally, but I can't have my money just there just yet. So we'll leave it at that as we move to race number 8. It's another tough one here. The Benchmark 100. It's usually a really, really good race come late in the day, but this one's probably one of the worst race 8s we'll see for spring, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Amor Victorious for me, $3.80. Second, its first up run, and it came second. Looked very, very nice behind Tom Kitten, who is a top seed for me. So good enough for me. Great form. Let's go with Amor Victorious, please.
Yeah, despite all the form around Tom Kitten with a few of these horses, I just have to go Rise at Dawn because I'm a big Rise at Dawn guy. I've been following it keenly all throughout the grades down in Melbourne. It's been running really, really well. Definitely deserves to get a crack at some bigger fish now. $4.50, probably a right price for it. Rock Hard Fit gets a solid weight swing as well on those horses that were running against Tom Kitten a few weeks ago, so maybe that helps it late. I just think he'll be in the finish, so I'd rather take the $4.50 for this horse with that different form line. So Rise at Dawn for me. Race 9, a very open race. As you can tell, the favourite's almost paying $5. So I think the two top chances have been correctly assumed by the market. Willardo and Piastri. Maybe she's an A-lister, but again, she's listed for a race on Sunday, so she might not even race here in the end. So I'm just going to have to be with Piastri here. He's been flying through the grades nicely. Looks to have a very handy engine under the hood punters. Last start it was at 1,100 metres. He hit the front with about 200 to go and just kept on going with it. Looked like he wanted more ground. Gets to 1,200 here. And, of course, that is a distance, that he's already won at this prep. So all I'm saying is ticks, and the fact that you can get $6 to win, $2.20 to place each way on him. Very happy to take him at each way odds.
Yeah, I'm with you there. There's not much argument there for me. Race number 10, Benchmark 78 to finish it. Look, I think we're going to go the same tip again here. I'm going Headwall. I think it's the best horse in this race, in my opinion. I think Blanc de Blanc kind of fell off a little bit, but Headwall looks to be very nice for me. You get an apprentice on board as well, which is nice. One first up, comes second up here. Looks all right.
Yeah, I'll be playing the straight bat. Headwall for me as well. Best horse in the race. Hopefully gets it done. So we move to the tip-off, mate. This is where most of the conversation will be having for the day. Memsie Stakes, race 9 down at Caulfield. Obviously, you've got about a 13-point lead on me currently. We haven't set it on the forfeit. We will. We've gotten some, shaved heads, some spray tans. I liked one, Slim Shady, getting the bleach blonde.
Yeah.
Could be an interesting one, but we will settle on a forfeit the next couple of weeks. We'll announce it. And then that's what we'll be playing for. We'll not only be playing for bragging rights, but we'll be playing for avoiding the forfeit. I've got some catching up to do, but I don't think there's going to be much catching up to do here, considering it's mostly a 2-horse race, unless something crazy happens. So I'll only be gaining a couple points on you, if much. But it's a nice field, but, is there any point reading out all the horses when you've got the Mr. Brightside, Pride of Jenny clash? Outside of them, you've got maybe a Gentleman Roy who can pop his head up again, maybe a Pinstriped or an Antino. Other than that, nothing really else. A lot of horses have been scared off by Pride of Jenny. So what are your thoughts, mate?
I think I spoke about it before. I'm on Brightside for this one. I think Brightside really starts off well in his preps. He's one to obviously look at. Let's look at his first up record, which is 3 wins, 2 in the minor placings from 7 starts. So it's pretty hard to miss, where I'm pretty confident that if he doesn't win, he'll come second. But I like him better than Pride of Jenny. I think Pride of Jenny will be good, but Brightside usually does a little bit better early on, and also really likes the firmer track where it's dry. So I'll go with Mr. Brightside.
He's also never lost when he's running at Caulfield over 1,400 metres from 5 starts.
Yeah.
So what do you do with Pride of Jenny? I'm going to have to be on her because I said last week she's one of those horses that you just have to back until she fails. Could she fail here? We wait and see. But she is just such an enigma. Like I said, with her Queen Elizabeth, you've got to toss it out the window because it was just such a anomaly. Like, that does not happen. That will not happen again for a long time.
I think she wins later on in the prep. I just think she always she'll be there and thereabouts. But I think Brightside will get one up on her to start, and it'll be 1-0 Brightside at the end of this weekend. But I think this battle will continue into spring very nicely, where Pride of Jenny, I think, will end up stealing it. But I think Brightside will get the 1-0 lead. I'm
honestly shocked that he's here because before the spring they said that we're going anywhere that Pride of Jenny isn't. But at the end of the day, they've accepted they're going unless he scratches late. It's on. And if he does scratch, Pride of Jenny's probably going to start like $1.80. But yeah, I just have to go with her. She's such a scary horse. She just literally makes any race impossible for me to look at with, a fresh perspective after what she achieved last spring and then what she did in the autumn. Like, it's just crazy. So I'm just going to have to be on her and see what happens. Around the grounds, mate, what have you found around the country away from Rosehill?
I've got one over in Perth at Belmont. It is race. Let me just get it up. Sorry, punters. Race number 5. It's going to be Ginnivan for me, $1.65. That'll be one leg in my multi, and then I'll probably put Awesome Glow in there as well. And then I don't mind Another Will, $2.45. So that I'd probably play those 3 in a multi will be my around the grounds.
All right, combining around the grounds with one of the best rated horses at Rosehill in a bit of a multi. I've got 3 at Caulfield. Race 1, Lover Zoo, $5. Never runs a bad race, and I continue to be shocked that she doesn't start favourite in some races. She's gone undefeated this prep so far. Will put in another good run. So Lover Zoo for me there. Race 4, a lot of talented horses in this. You've got, your Vow and Declares, your Young Verders, your Gear Ups, and your Mostly Cloudies, all horses that could potentially be heading to the Cups later on in the spring. But I also spot Aramco all the way down at the 54 kilo mark, $3.80. He's the favourite for a reason. He's been going really good in Sydney, gets to have a crack at bigger fish now and gets a massive weight swing compared to, the 62 kilos of the Vow and Declares, who has more class, but it's 8 more kilos. So, and then we go to race 10, Another Will, you already spoke about it. Barrier, shocking. But, should be a field he should be dispatching if he's going to be the horse that everyone says he's going to be. He's supposed to be winning Group 1s this spring. We already had someone say to us last week, the listener questions that, Another will win a Group 1, carries 60.5 kilos as well, but it's a very winnable field. If it's the best horse in the race, it should be getting it done. So I'm very confident that it gets the job done. Mate, that takes us to the Quaddie. Smashed it last week. Can we smash it again? What have we got?
We have, let me get it up. Race number 7, Autumn Glow, Wanarua, Axios and Media World. Race 8, Land Legend, Rise of Dawn, Amor Victorious and Seol Wolf. Race 9, Willado, She's an A-lister, Piastri and Cabal. Race 10, Headwall, Brias, Boston Rocks and Blanc de Blanc, $50, 19.5%.
Yep,
Bang.
$50 would have gotten you over $500 payout last week, so more than healthy. That puts us in the green for them for a long time, almost the whole season, basically.
Yep.
Gets us in the green there. So now we're just hoping to play with profits and win as many quaddies as we can. Best bet of the day. If you could have one bet around the country, who's it going to be and why? Is it in Rosehill, or are you going to Caulfield, or maybe you even going to Perth?
I'm going to Caulfield. I'm going McNeil Stakes, race number 6, number 1, Growing Empire, $2.60. Looks very nice. Had a good prep earlier on in the year, but coming into it now, Growing Empire should be good, $2.60.
Fair enough.
It was a tough day for best bets, I must say, punters. So
yeah,
it took me a while to have a look, but Growing Empire is one that I'm pretty confident in.
I also had to settle on one because most of the horses that I'm supremely confident in down at Rosehill are teetering on that $2 mark. And like I said with Elias last week, I don't like making a less than $2 horse your best bet because you want to be able to double your money. So a horse that's at a better price of the $2.45 mark is Another Will. Like I said, only thing that's going to beat it is the barrier, in my opinion. It's supposed to be a Group 1 horse this spring. It's in a benchmark 100 here and it finds a very winnable field. Hopefully Jamie Carr puts it in the right spot and just runs past them in the final stages. So Another Will is going to be my best bet around the country. Both of us not going Rosehill. But I mean, that just shows you last week, fantastic running. We, come back to earth a little bit this week when it comes to Sydney racing, but then in the next few weeks, it starts to pick right back up again.
Yeah, it's last week was a taste for what's coming, but yeah, this week's kind of brought us back a little bit. But look, it was a great start. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. I think hopefully we have another good week this week. I hope you guys punt well, do well, gamble responsibly, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll see you back here next week, punters, and we can't wait to do it all again. See you, lads.
See ya.
And back behind those horses, I Am Unstoppable. Osmosis at the clock tower, led by a length to Shinzo, Arkansas Kid, and I Am Unstoppable is running on. The leader, Osmosis, with 50 metres to go. Osmosis is clear and will take it out.